Hey D&D fam, I'm Quick.
And I'm Lee, and you're listening to
Divas and Ducats. So what is a diva? I think divas get a bad rep, but to me, diva is all about the attitude.
As for ducats, it's your finances, your assets, Skrilla, guap, your coin. We're talking all things with the potential to affect your pockets.
And while we're attorneys by trade, we are divas by choice. Divas and Ducats is for edutainment purposes.
Y'all, we are not Series 511 or 703 professionals. This does not create a financial advisor or attorney-client relationship. The views expressed here are solely our opinions and the opinions of our guests.
It's just our opinion, y'all. Okay, divas, let's talk Ducats.
All right.
Hey, Kevin, if you're watching.
Welcome back, D&D fam. We're excited to have you here. If you haven't clicked subscribe, I don't understand. Go ahead and do it.
Right.
Follow us if you are watching.
Mm-hmm.
As we say, we are Divas and Ducats on all the things, Instagram and Facebook. So make sure you check us out. So what are we going over on this Diva Docket today?
So it is, of course, November and going into that enrollment season for corporate, for a lot of jobs, but definitely for corporate, it's that enrollment season. So we're going to be talking about retirement savings and retirement accounts. What's the difference? It can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
Are you contributing? All the things. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today. The retirement, the basics of 401k and the IRA.
All right. So we do not tackle this by ourselves because, again, as I said on the tax episode, sometimes I still ask my mom what I'm supposed to put on the W-4. So we brought in, a little more subject matter expertise to kind of talk through this. So we are going to let JB, he is very good at introducing himself. So we're going to just get into it. Welcome, JB.
Welcome.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. Thank y'all. I'm excited. I feel like I've made it in life. I'm up here with Diva and Ducat show.
You better speak that into existence. Don't give me the speaking of Holy Ghost up in here now.
Okay. So tell the people a little about what you do.
Yeah. So again, my name is Jevertus Burnett. JB is just fine, but I'm the associate partner for Reveal Wealth. We are a holistic financial services firm that really focuses and specializes on retirement planning and accumulation and distribution.
Okay. So we're in the right place to be.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Someone with some knowledge and subject matter expertise.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about Reveal Wealth. When you say holistic, what does that mean?
Yeah. So we are a firm that literally, so some firms only specialize on one thing. Like they may be able to help you when it comes to investments, or maybe able to help you when it comes to retirement, maybe able to help you when it comes to insurance planning. But we are a firm that can do holistic planning in that we lead with an actual written plan. Mm-hmm. So you're not guessing, like we're going to talk about a little bit later. Like you don't have to guess like, ooh, I hope I'm ready for retirement. Like, no, we sit down, what's your goals, what's your objectives? And we start at the end and work our way back to what we need to be doing today.
Gotcha.
So, and then we're also a firm that don't have to outsource anything. So we can do all of our own plan creation and all of our own implementation, whether it's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, disability, life insurance, the whole nine. We can do everything without having to outsource it out to anybody else.
Gotcha.
I love that. We start at the end and we back it up.
Back your way into it.
Right. Which is important.
Yes, it is. So, a lot of people, I guess the most common forms of retirement accounts are like your 401k and your IRA. So talk a little bit to the people, like what are they and like what is the difference maybe?
Yeah, so they're both what we call qualified plans. And the only thing that a qualified plan means is that these are plans that the IRS has built into their tax code to say we're going to give you some type of preferential tax treatment if you utilize these plans.
Okay.
And so with an IRA, it's literally just an individual retirement account. Like that's what it's what it's for is in its name, right? 401k, same thing. It's a segment of the IRS tax code that allows us to put money back in a tax efficient way and pull that money out later when we need it. So with the major differences between the two are the contribution limits and where they're originated. So 401ks are typically originated with your employer. Your employer chooses a plan administrator, though that individual or that company administrates and organizes a plan for your whole company. And when you go through and you sit down with HR or whoever, they tell you, hey, here's what we offer, take it or leave it. You want to be a part of this or you don't. We're going to match. Some people don't match. Some people will match, which we'll get into some of that. But it's employer driven. The 401k is employer driven. They offer it to you. You don't have to participate. You can participate. And the limits for the 401k are typically higher than the IRA. So for 401k, you can do up to $19,500 a year as of 2021, as of right now, into this 401k. So that's about $1,625 a month that you can put into the 401k. IRAs are self-driven or self-structured, meaning you yourself have to go out and get a broker dealer or a financial professional, you reach out to your bank, whatever that looks like for you, set it up yourself. You have more flexibility as far as funds and how you want to fund it, but the limits are smaller. So the 2021 limits for IRAs are $6,000 unless you're over 50 years old. You can do a catch up, you can do $1,000. But it's up to you to set up that IRA as an individual. That's the name, IRA, individual retirement. And it has nothing to do with your job, and it follows you wherever you go.
So when you said catch up, that if you're 50 and over, you could do how much extra than the 6?
Yeah, so you can do 7,000 instead of 6,000 into your IRA.
Got you.
And instead of 19.5, I think with your 401k you could do 26.5.
Okay, got you.
And for the 401k, is that limit per person or is that a house limit? Like if you're married?
No, so that's per person. So that's limited per person with your 401k. So if you have a household and you both are working, you both can put up to $19,500 into your personal 401ks at your job.
Got you. And so I know, like you said, with 401k, it's employer driven, but is there for an IRA, like, I don't know, say there's some young entrepreneur, is there an age limit to start an IRA?
No, there's not. As a matter of fact, in which we didn't necessarily talk about Roths, but Roths are a version of IRA. So you have a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA.
Okay.
And a Roth simply just means we're putting post-tax dollars. So these dollars with the Roth, these dollars, you've already paid taxes on the money that you're putting inside of that 401k, I mean, that IRA or 401k, because you can do a Roth 401k too. A lot of people don't know that. But that Roth, you've already paid taxes on that money. That money's going to grow tax-free, and you get to pull that money out tax-free. With a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, you put that money in pre-tax, meaning you don't pay taxes on whatever you make $100,000. You put $6,000 in, you're only going to pay taxes on 94, not 100. It grows tax deferred, and when you take the money out in the future, you have to end up paying taxes on that. So, what was your original question? Why did I say all that?
Just the age limit on
so there's no age limit. Yeah, so I said all that because there's no age limit. I just set one up. I set a Roth up for a young lady who's 17 years old.
Okay.
Right now, her mom is she works. The only rule is you must be employed.
Okay.
So you can't just set up.
I was about to get one from a 9-year-old.
No, they have to be employed.
Okay.
Now you can employ them.
Yes.
That's a whole nother story for another day.
Right.
You can employ them, but they have to be employed.
Okay.
They have to be actually earning income, and you can put up to 100% of your income, up to $6,000 inside of it. So, yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. So, I think that makes sense for the entrepreneur, right? Because you were talking about with the Roth is after-tax dollars. How would you put, like I said, I think it makes sense to me in my mind for the entrepreneur. You know, you get that income, we haven't paid taxes on it. I could put that as inside. But for a person that's working like a 9 to 5, if I also wanted to do an IRA, wouldn't that be after-tax dollars, or should I be opening a Roth and not an IRA?
So it really, honestly, and you guys did an amazing job with your disclaimer beforehand. But I'm gonna do my own. Like, this is not personal advice, right?
Right,
So
right.
y'all need, if you need personal advice, like, let's sit down. We can chop it up. We love to talk
Right.
to anybody. Friends of Divas and Duckies is a friend of mine, so we got you. We'll talk to you. But it's gonna depend on your goals, your objectives, and your current financial position, right? So some people need that tax break that the qualified plan gives, right? Some people need to be able to have that write-off. They might not have the kids or don't have a business. Like you said, let's say you're in corporate America and you're earning $150,000, $200,000. Most times you're looking for tax breaks. You're looking for opportunities to help you tax-wise. So that IRA is that. But if you don't have a problem, so to speak, with the tax bill, you found other ways to reasonably control your tax obligation and tax debts and tax bill, then definitely the Roth makes sense. So there are pros and cons to any of them, right? So the benefit to doing a traditional is I get to defer those taxes. I don't have to pay the taxes right now. It's going to decrease my taxable obligations today.
Right.
The downfall to that is I honestly have no clue what the tax bracket's going to be or the tax rate's going to be in the future when I pull this money out.
Right.
Right. The benefits to the Roth is that I know exactly what tax rates are today, and I'm putting this money in. This money's going to grow tax free, and I'm going to actually take it out tax free. One of the things I run across a lot when I'm dealing with clients is you have these amazing professionals who've worked their whole lives and they're at retirement and they're like, yes, I got $1.4 million in my 401k, or I got this, and they've not paid taxes on it. And they don't realize that
you don't have 1.4 million.
You don't have the buying power of $1.4 million in this account. Right? You have 1.4 million on paper, but you don't have that buying power. And so it all goes back to what we was talking about earlier, starting at the end. Stephen Covey says that we want to begin with the end in mind. Like, what's our exact goal? Where we're trying to go? What balance of assets do we need at retirement? And then let's work our way back.
Yeah. So, and speaking of which, because I used to do this, I know a lot of people do when they move jobs, because nowadays, like, to some extent Gen X, but definitely millennials, we're not staying at companies for 20, 30 years anymore. We're, every about 3 to 5 is okay.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on rolling a 401k over? So basically, if you had $20,000 that you accrued at company X, I'm going to company Y. Let me go put my $20,000 in at company Y. Like, what are your thoughts on doing that?
So there's a couple of things. So first of all, you are so right. We're not staying at jobs 20, 30 years anymore. That's a thing of the past for most people. There are some exceptions to the rules. People will tell you a whole bunch of different stuff. So I have a ton of folks, even in the financial services, everybody disagrees on this. So it's more personal preference, because there are some financial advisors that say, don't ever roll your money over, always take it out and do some, but there are some perks to rolling it over. So there are pros and cons to everything. And I'll share the pros and cons. And what fits best for you is what you typically want to do, right? But when you're talking about rolling over, the benefit of rolling it over to your new employer is, number one, those funds, typically your employer has a large pool of money. The way fees are charged on money that's invested in the market is the more money you have, the smaller the fee. So if this same plan advisor is managing all the money for your entire firm, everybody who has their 401k with them, they're going to charge you a lower fee than I would if you brought over $200,000 individually. Right? So if you brought over $200,000 individually, your $200,000, of course, is less than the $200,000 of all 10,000 employees of your company.
Right.
So you're going to get a much lower fee by staying with your current 401k. You also maintain what borrowing rights, so to speak. So you actually can borrow from your 401k for certain reasons, right? I don't typically suggest people do it, but you can. You have access to. You have the capacity to. And when you borrow against that, you get to access that money without paying a 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half years old.
Okay.
With a traditional IRA, so when you roll that money over, first of all, you rolling it over into an IRA, standalone IRA. When you roll it over, most times, unless you meet some exclusions here or there, but most times you can't access that money. You can't borrow from that money. You can take money out and pay a penalty if you're under 59 and a half years old, but it becomes a little bit more difficult to take that money out, right? The other thing is you're going to pay a little bit higher fee. Now, the benefit to rolling it over to an IRA is that you have more flexibility and control over where you put your money, right? Your company the company you're going to might not have a good track record or might not have a well-managed portfolio. So how you can leverage that money, whether it's, and your options are pretty simple. You can either take it all out, of course, which I never recommend because you're going to pay taxes up front and a penalty if you're less than 59 and a half years old, but you can take it out. You can roll it over into an IRA with somebody like myself or somebody else that you're working with, and we can manage it for you. Or you can roll it over into a self-directed IRA and invest it how you choose. That's a whole nother topic for another day. But you can roll those over and you have greater control over what exactly you invest in, but less liquidity, so to speak, if that makes sense. There are ways that you can roll it over and kind of guarantee that you preserve that principal and don't lose. So that's another reason why some people like to roll it over and take it out of their plans. And so I'll do those for people often. We create what we call holding cells. So yeah, they pay a little bit of a higher fee than they would if they left it with their employer. But we put that IRA inside of a vehicle that allows it not to have any of the market risk. So we got all the upside that the market can provide without having to take any risk. So it's all depends. Again, it all goes back to your specific goals. And there are times where both are appropriate.
Got you.
So, and when you were talking about rollover, because you were saying if it sticks with the employer, when you talking about rolling it over, are you not rolling it over to the new company's 401k?
Yeah, so you're rolling it over to the new company's 401k or rolling it over into your own IRA.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, rolling over. And another option that we didn't mention, is you do have the option most of the time to leave it with your old employer, but I never recommend that. I never recommend.
Why?
Who said that?
Okay, they can call you.
No. So it's pretty simple. Most of the time, like you're not going to get updates when they make changes to the plan. You don't have any say so. Whatever that company does, you don't work for that company anymore. And whatever they do, you just kind of got to deal with it. But that's one reason. The main reason is I can't tell you the number of people that I see on a monthly basis who have a plan with an old employer that they never moved. And now that HR team is not there anymore. That it used to be with one company, now another company manages it, and they have no clue how to find money. And they legitimately have money sitting out there, and they just don't know where it's at. So really, you just don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah. And I know one thing like that it seems silly because I guess, when you're younger, you don't think much about it. But when you're onboarding to a new company, one thing I just didn't realize until maybe a few years ago was like when they give you this plan, you can actually customize your 401k. So like,
Yes.
a lot of times when people investment speak, they'll ask, are you more aggressive or conservative or whatever. I know for me, like I'm still in a space where I'm more aggressive, like I'm willing to take the risk. And so I was able to like look at it and say like, okay, like, I don't want to do that or whatever. So even that, I think, to JB's point, you no longer have the access to know like, okay, what is this? Because the typical thing is they calculate like, I don't know, if you're 62 or 65, they put you in this group like, the 2050 group. This is what you're gonna do, and so you could do a lot more, and you just won't know that if you're no longer with the company.
Exactly. You won't have a clue as to what those options are.
So let's talk about my favorite topic of 401ks, matching.
Okay, let's do it.
So your company matches up to a certain percentage. Let's say you're at one of the companies that matches up to a certain percentage. How do you feel about maxing out that match, going over the match?
Oof, my mama loved a max.
I was a maxer too until Leandra convinced me not to be.
I don't.
love it.
No. Don't
So-
put this on me.
So if I can't retire right, I'm just playing.
It's her fault.
It's-
But I'm gonna look at you and be like, why are you taking advice from somebody who told you not to take advice from her?
I told you. I was like, I
You didn't
mean,
listen to the
I
demo.
just,
You
I
didn't
just
listen to the intro.
presented the logic. I was like, I mean,
Play the intro for her again. Play the intro.
I told her.
Right? But no, so that is a great question. And y'all are gonna listen, y'all are gonna hate me because my entire method, I am a goal-based financial planner. So I don't make recommendations or
Right.
solutions, instructions to my clients without goals.
Right.
Everybody is different, right? Everybody is different. So what I will say is, number one, you definitely want to put up to the point that they match. That's without question. That's free money. If anybody's putting free money on the table and telling you to come get it, go get it.
Right.
So if you're not contributing up to the max, right now, stop what you're doing and go contribute up to the max. That's free money and we're leaving it on the table. Go get it. Now, as far as above and beyond that, it really just depends, right, on what your goals are. And so I did this because I figured you would ask me that question. So I did a little hypothetical
Oh, you got a
scenario.
math problem? Look at him. Look at
Yeah,
you.
right. So I did a little hypothetical scenario. So I got my girl, her name is Diva Duckett, right? She's 37 years old.
Okay, Diva.
37. She makes $125,000 a year.
Get it?
She wants to retire at age 60, right?
All right.
We're just going to assume she got those good genes, so she's going to live to be a 90 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she already has $184,000 in retirement. I mean, in her 401k, right?
she's
So
my
she has
friend.
$184,000 in her 401k.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to retire with $100,000 a year at retirement that will last her forever.
Okay, she want to live good.
Right.
Okay.
You want to be comfortable. We've already done the math. She's not going to have any debt and all that kind of stuff. She just want to be able to travel, entertain, and have a good time, right?
All right.
So if she does that, if she's doing that, and let's assume she's doing 6% right now, she's contributing 6% and her company's matching 6%. Well, if she wants to meet that goal with her 401k only, she needs to put, if she's going to do the traditional route, she needs to put an extra $1,067 a month into her 401k, right? That's what she needs to be putting in. If she goes the Roth option, which most companies you can do both. So let's just say she goes the Roth option. If she goes the Roth 401k option, she only needs to put $777 a month into her 401k to meet her retirement goal. So if I only need to put $777 away every month to meet my retirement goal, why am I going to go and put $1,625 a month? So now we free up almost $1,000 because remember, she can't touch that money without penalty until she's 60 years old.
Right.
Even though, like, we can take out what we put in. That's a whole other story. We can take out what we put in as long as we've been contributing at least 5 years. But in theory, we can't take the growth from none of those until we're 59 and a half years old. So why am I going to tie up an extra $1,000 a month that I can't touch to sometime in the future that's actually going to create a surplus in the future, which means I might end up dying with a whole bunch of money in my 401k.
Right.
And contrary to popular belief, y'all didn't bring me on here for this topic today, but 401k surplus is not the best way to leave a legacy to your children and your grandchildren and the nonprofits that you love. I'm going to try to spend every dime in my 401k as best as I can, and I'm leaving my kids a legacy a totally different way, right? So if that's the case, and it only takes me $777 a month to reach my goal, I need to put $777 a month, free up that extra almost $1,000. I can put that to work for me now to help me build and accelerate wealth now, pay off debt now, do all this stuff now. Now, conversely, if she didn't have $184,000 set aside in retirement and she's just getting started, well, guess what? We need $1,136 more dollars on top of what she's already putting. That person probably need to go ahead and max it out because maxing it out helps them get to their goal.
Right.
So you really just got to sit down and do the numbers. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing what we talked about earlier, starting at the end. Hey, I want to retire at 60. I want to have $100,000. How much do I need to be able to generate the income I want? How much do I need in this big bucket of money over here? And then we back that up and say, what do we already have? And now we can figure out almost down to the dollar what we need to be contributing. And we let the numbers tell us if we need to max it out or not.
Got you.
Like that. A shout out to the Diva.
Right. Miss Ducky.
So did you want to talk about the risk, some of the 4K risk with, people jumping off the roofs in 2008?
Oh, so, and JB might explain it a little better than me, but essentially, it's risky from the standpoint of you don't know when you retire what the economy is going to look like, right? So exactly. I always like it. I'm sure some people don't like, they would cringe at me saying this, but I kind of like in your 401k retirement plan, it's kind of like gambling that's not so like, ooh, sinful. You know what I mean? Like some people look at gambling like, ooh, it's kind of like seedy. But in a way, 401k, you're kind of gambling on how things are going to be, how a certain stock's going to perform, etc. So, 2008 was a financial crisis and many people lost their life savings. Some people took their lives. And so I think one of the things that I would like to understand more from you, JB, is when you retire, so you're coming down that, I want to retire at 60.
No. What happened?
Can you hear us?
You froze up for a second. Okay, I hear you back now.
Okay, so where were we?
You said one of the things and then your face twisted and you look real.
So, no, I think I was saying in terms of like, I look at 401k and IRA and investing is kind of like gambling. In a way, it's less seedy to some people because it's more, corporate and it's the thing to do. But back in 2008, a lot of people who were retiring during that time and the market crashed, their money isn't what they thought it would be, led to a lot of fallout. So one of the things that I would like to understand from you more is when you're coming, so let's say Miss Duckett is approaching 60. When you...
And the bottom fall out.
Right. So how does that work in retirement with, can you change your, I don't know if they're like contributions or do you make a shift or something like that as you get closer? Like, how does that whole thing work?
So I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to go back to your beginning first. So as far as the gambling piece, it's only gambling if you don't plan properly.
Okay.
Right? So it's only gambling if you don't plan properly. So one of the things that we try to make sure we do with our team at Reveal is we want to make sure that our clients are completely bulletproof. Meaning if you retire today and 40%, the market dropped 40-50% tomorrow, we don't even care because we planned for this, right? We made a plan for this. We created contingencies for this very thing. And so historically, and so just bear with me for a second.
Right.
Historically, right, since 1926 to now, the stock market's only been down 3 years in a row. At least 3 years in a row, 3 times, right? So that was the Great Depression. That was World War II. It was the oil crisis of the 70s. The Great Recession, it was down 2 years in a row, but it was down really, really bad in 2008, right? So it was down really, really bad. So with that being said, you have $0 in your 401k, just so y'all know. There's no dollars in your 401k, zero, okay? You have shares that have been assigned a value. So you might have 10,000 shares at $131 a share or whatever the case might be. You have shares that have been assigned a value. And if you go to bed tonight and those shares are worth $131 a share and wake up in the morning, they're worth 60, you've lost a lot of value in that account on paper, right? But the only way I realize that loss is if I sell my asset while it's down. So if I know that historically only the market's only been down 3 years in a row, 3 times since 1926, the odds are in my favor. So what I want to make sure of above anything else is I want to make sure every single client that we're helping with retirement planning has at least 3 to 4 years of cash just sitting off to the side that's not correlated and not attached to the stock market, right? So if we got some cash not attached to the stock market, the market goes down. So our rule is really simple when we start talking about distribution. We don't double dip, right? We do not take money out of the market years following when the market was down. We let that money rebound and we take money from over here on this safe place. So that means I gotta actually have a safe place. So that's the first thing. And we'll talk about that safe place shortly. But to your point, your actual question, like what do? we can position ourselves to become more and more conservative the closer that we get. So that's the traditional line of thought, is that I want to become more and more conservative the closer I get to retirement. Right? So we start scaling back. So you talked about you in a place right now where you're pretty aggressive. Well, when you reach that 55th birthday, you might say, okay, well, I'm reaching a 5-year stretch, right? Well, let me dial back some. Let me not take as much risk.
Right.
If we're doing a good job, and if you start early enough, and that's why I always tell people the best day to start planning for retirement was yesterday, but the second best day is today. So get started now. But if you're starting early enough and we've already built up to where we can guarantee we got this cash pool sitting there, we can still be aggressive even through our retirement. So my mom is retiring next year, right? So my mom's 65-ish, I think. If you're watching, Mom, I'm sorry. But I think she's 65.
I see,
right?
Mama, she fine.
65. My mom's 65, right? And she's retiring next year. Well, guess what? She's 65 and retiring next year. Guess what? We're still pretty aggressive in the stock market with her. Why? Because we have at least 3 years worth of cash just sitting over here. So if the market goes down, we pull money from here until the market resets and gets back up to where it needs to be. So we just have to have, everything goes back again to having a plan. And if our plan does not include a cash safety net, then we have to, as we get closer to that mark, we have to start getting more and more conservative. I have a lot of clients that inherit that their financial advisor may have retired or may have unfortunately passed away or something like that. And they may be closer to retirement. They may be within that 5-year window, right? We don't have time to create a 3 to 4 year pool of money to just sit on the sideline. So for those people, our strategy is, hey, let's get more and more conservative. Let's scrape off a lot of our earnings now. Let's pull those earnings out now that we've earned, and let's guarantee that they're not going to go backwards. And let's be more conservative with what we're putting in going forward. And we want to try to make sure that we can preserve those earnings and gains for as long as we can. So just all depends about how you've planned.
Got you.
And then it also made me think, because I can't think exactly like what I was thinking about, but I do remember during COVID thinking about the retirement, people that are already taking their retirement, right? Can you change or just, because I mean, they're obviously not still contributing at the time that they're retiring, but can they change, I guess, how it's being invested, how to kind of invest?
So with that, you're able to change. So it just depends, right? So one of the things that people put a whole lot of effort and thought into is, where do I put my money to grow it for retirement? What most people don't put as much effort and energy into is, what's going to be my distribution strategy in retirement? How am I actually going to take this money out?
Right.
And so a lot of people use what we call the 4% rule or 5% rule, where they're saying, hey, we're going to take 4% of our total portfolio out every month or every year and use that to live off of. Problem with that is, I'm super vulnerable when the market goes down, because I'm having to sell more shares to get the same amount of money that I need to live month to month.
Right.
And so you can change that at any time, but typically, I tell you right, if we all knew when the market was going to go down and when it was going to go up, we'd all be rich.
Right.
We don't know that, right? We can follow some trends and we can do all this stuff, but we can't predict the exact date, the exact time, what's going to be going on. I don't know if you're going to be out on the water fishing, right? If Mr. Johnny's retired, he might be out on the water fishing when the market goes down. He come back to the house and he's lost half his portfolio without having a chance to make that adjustment. So I know I'm boring, y'all.
No, you're not. I'm sorry. I actually just had a thought. I was like, my grandma would shake her head, because I just thought, like, no man knows the day or the hour.
We just got to have a plan, right? We got to have just like we have an accumulation plan. Like, hey, I need to put $777 a month to get my goal. I need to put $1,062 a month to get my goal. We need to also have a distribution plan that prevents us from having to worry about that, right? So a lot of people will take that and they'll turn their 401ks or IRAs into a pension that pays them a guaranteed amount for the rest of their life. And if they die prematurely, leave those assets to their beneficiaries, right? But those people aren't concerned about what the stock market does. They could care less, because they're going to get their pension payout every single month. We call it mailbox money, right? They're going to get their mailbox money regardless of what the stock market does.
Right.
And you've taken all of that risk away from what you've grown.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm just laughing because Quick had this thing. It's almost like she was a little masochist. Like, she would check her 401k like almost daily, and I'd be like,
present tense.
Like, I still do that. I just don't tell you no.
But here's the thing,
high five.
because she was stressed, like she retiring tomorrow. I'd be like, so, I mean, you still got about 20 years in the game, right? You still, what you doing?
And another thing,
$2,000. I'm like,
but so here's the thing. Quick, when it goes down, you're not losing anything.
No.
So right now, the stock market is your favorite shopping center, right? You're young, you're powerful, you're an attorney, you're making money, you're going to make more money, you're going to get new raises, you're going to be making even more money. All this great stuff is going to happen, right? When your favorite store has a sale, do you say, man, I just bought these shoes 2 months ago for this much? You don't do that. You be like, girl, they are having a sale. I'm finna go get me some more. And this time I'm gonna get 2 pair or 4 pair or 6 or whatever you gonna do. You're buying more.
Right.
So that's what I want you to think about whenever you look at the market and you see the market's going down. I'm not in retirement. I'm not pulling money out right now. I might need to buy some more. Or I am buying more. Even if you're putting the same amount, if the price goes down, you're buying more shares.
Right.
Because so don't look at it like I'm losing money. Be like, ooh, I bought more shares this month than I did last month. And knowing that as that value increases, you're going to, if you bought 100 shares last month at $10 a share, and they drop down to $5 a share, and you bought 200 shares this month, when they get back to $10 a share, you're actually going to have more than doubled your money,
Right.
because you bought double shares while they was on sale. Right? So don't look at it like I'm losing my money. Look at it like, oh, I'm buying more this month. That's all.
I'm gonna refer her to this minute mark next time she
I wasn't freaking out like that. I just don't like to see my money move up and down. That's all.
You shouldn't see them exclamations in the text.
And emojis.
Lord.
And so you kind of already spoke to the penalties and stuff that are related to 401ks. People use it for different reasons to start businesses. I know, of course, a lot of people use it for medical expenses, whatever the various reasons are. Were there like COVID waivers that allow people to borrow against their 401k and not have penalties? And then 2, do you know are the penalties based upon the amount? Like, is it a percentage of the amount that's taken out?
Yeah. So COVID did allow us to. With COVID, you could take up to $100,000 out of your 401k or IRA without penalties. And a lot of people took advantage of that, which is not a bad thing per se. But again, what's the goal? Why are we doing it? Right? So if you had a whole bunch of credit card debt that was costing you 22, 19, 26%, stuff like that, girl, yeah, go for it. Do what you do. Right? But if you just took it out so you could ball and take some trips and do all this kind of stuff,
Right.
We might think about this a little bit later. But COVID did allow us to do that. That was for 2020. That is off the table now. And the penalty for taking money out prematurely now, the penalty has always been 10%. Okay. So there's a 10% fee on anything you take out before age 59 and a half, except for if it's approved for those exclusionary reasons, which are like some medical stuff, starting a business, buying a house. There's some exclusionary stuff
that will waive the fee.
Right. You still got to pay Uncle Sam. You still got to pay taxes. Uncle Sam ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
Right.
So you're paying the taxes. You're paying the penalties. Are there additional penalties if the money is not put back in a certain time?
No.
Okay.
So there's not any, like, once you take it out, it's like it's
just gone. Okay.
You're gonna pay that 10% penalty. Now, if you borrow the money, of course, you're paying it back. If you borrow it, but if you take it out, you pay that penalty.
If you borrow it, are there also penalties?
If you don't pay it back in a timely fashion, or if you miss payment, stuff like that, they just charge you the 10% penalty, and they make you pay the taxes on it as if you just withdrew the money.
Okay. So if you take it out as a loan, you're just paying the taxes. But if you
take it out as a loan, you don't pay nothing. You don't pay taxes. You don't pay because you're taking it out as a loan. You want to pay yourself back. If in the event that you don't pay yourself back the way that you told your employer you were going to pay yourself back, they say, oh, well,
She lied.
she just took this. She lied. She just took this money out. So you're going to get a 1099 come tax time, and they just going to charge you taxes on that money that you took out and a 10% penalty.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so,
and there are some, oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, and so I think to that point, it's like there are some ways around that stuff. Like I don't really like talking about that stuff, but there are some ways around that stuff. One of them being like if you're in a, so I work with a lot of people that are real estate investors. And I work with a lot of people who are real estate investors and have a ton of money sitting in IRAs or old 401ks, right? And so I had a guy, so funny, a guy about 2 years ago had a project that he was trying to finish, that he was like really, really trying to get finished. He had a buyer that was like ready. They were a couple of days out from going under contract, and then I think they had like a 30-day out to close or something like that. Well, the project went over budget, and he needed to get his hands on a good bit of money to get the work done. The work wasn't going to take a long time. He just needed to get the extra cash.
Right.
And I think it was something like $42,000 or something like that. You needed whatever. It wasn't a whole lot for him, but it was like I need it quickly.
Right.
And so what we were able to do was we were able to, and again, this is not advice. This is just telling you what happened. But we were able to do a rollover. So we was able to take this money out of one IRA to do a rollover into another IRA. But we said, don't take any taxes out, because when you do a rollover, you get to decide if you want to take taxes out, how much you want to take out, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they'll just send you a 1099 later on in the future. But you also get 60 days. You get 60 days to reinvest that money without any taxes or penalties charged.
Right.
We took the $42,000 out of one IRA to do a rollover into another IRA. They made the check, sent him the money, sent him the check. He cashed the check, got the real estate project did, flipped the house before 60 days, took the proceeds from that real estate, got the $42,000, put it into a totally different IRA that we did for the rollover, and didn't have to pay any taxes or penalties because we did a rollover. We just floated the money in between while we were doing the real estate deal. So, but you got to be real careful with that because stuff can go wrong.
And delayed, anything.
And then day 61 come, they be like,
well,
we heard it on Divas and Ducats.
No, you did not.
Please consult your financial professional before making any financial decisions.
Thank you.
And
If you don't have one, holler at me.
Okay, that's it.
So what did you have? Go ahead.
No. It just brought up my point, and you somewhat answered it, so it might just more so be a supplementary question. So with you were saying one of the exceptions with some of those 401k penalties, if you're buying a home, does that count? Like if you're getting an investment property, or does it have to be like this is a home you're buying that you're gonna live?
No.
Yeah.
No,
it does not count.
No, it does not count if you buy an investment property. And you
can we just not call it?
Again, it's the those are just one of the exceptions that you can borrow for. You can borrow for, but it's for your primary residence.
Got you.
Okay. Not necessarily, doesn't have to necessarily be a first time, but it is for your primary residence.
Got you. Okay.
So what is your recommendation? Because I thought that was really good what you said. The best time to start was yesterday, but if you can't, the second best time is the present. So go ahead and start investing now. For those that may be plus 35, I'll even say plus 40, closer to retirement than they are to starting their first job, and have not started the 401k process, or their job might not even offer 401k. Their only option is an IRA. And they want to, save up because I think the average, I was looking up some statistics, the average life expectancy of an American is 79 years old. So that's, if you retire at 65, that's 14 years of retirement that you need to be prepared for. And I think it was like at the age of 60, most people only have $60,000 save in savings.
Exactly.
That's excluding a retirement account, but in savings. So that $60,000 is definitely not going to last you for 14 years.
Right.
How do they catch up, or what would be your recommendation if they're maybe isn't a 401k, because I know you said that there's a catch-up clause if you're over a certain age for 401ks. So more so for the people that might not have a 401k, how can they start saving up for retirement if they're at ground zero?
So if you're at ground zero, there's a couple of things. So first thing I tell people all the time, retirement is not a function of income. It's a function of age and cash flow. Age and cash flow. So first thing that you got to do is, wherever you are right now, got to start with that goal setting. Like, when do I want to be out? When do I want to get out the game? So go ahead and set that hard goal. If you're not with an employer that offers 401k or whatever, but you are employed, meaning you don't own your own business, you want to do a couple of things. You want to do a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. If you can afford to, if you got the cash flow to and can afford to, you want to do both of those, because you can only put $6,000 in a year. If you're over 50, you're going to do $7,000. So that's $12,000 and $14,000 max that you can do. So you want to start with those. That's kind of where you want to start. If you are a business owner or self-employed, you might want to look at what we call a simple or a SEP IRA. A simple will allow you to put up to $13,500 a year into it as a business owner. And a SEP will allow you to put, I think the limits now is 25% or $58,000 a year, whichever one is less.
Okay.
Right? So you can put up to basically $58,000 a year into your SEP retirement plan as a small business owner.
Now, I'm sure that's an acronym. What is the acronym for SEP?
Self-employment pension.
Okay.
Yeah.
SEP. Okay, got it.
So if you want to, that's one way to do it if you're self-employed. The other thing that most people don't realize, even if you're a self-employed or in an individual-owned business, you can do what we call a solo 401k. Meaning you can start your own 401k for yourself. Same thing, you can put up to $58,000 a year as of right now for 2021. And so those are some things that you can do whether your employer does it or not. The other side of that coin, so we talked about age and cash flow. The other side of that is start getting real specific on what does retirement look like for me.
Right.
Is there opportunities for me to purchase rental properties? Right? If a lot of people forget that if I can create cash flow of any kind, right? And sometimes if I'm at the later stages, or if I gotten started late, what else can I do to play catch up, right? Do I have some knowledge, some money, or some time that I can leverage to play catch up? So can I leverage my credit and my time and my knowledge, and can I go out and get a rental property, right? Can I start preparing for what I like to call an encore career? Meaning, I can't do this particular job. I ain't going to be out here working for these people for another 20, 25 years. Right. However, I don't mind 10 years from now. I've always wanted to be a chef, or I've always wanted to be a baker, or everybody tell me how good my pies are, or whatever. Like, what can I do as an encore career that I thoroughly enjoy doing, that I otherwise would do for free, but I can get paid to do? Yeah. So that way I can take my limited amount of income based on the small amount that I've saved, supplement that with maybe some Social Security, and supplement that with working 25, 30 hours a week, doing something that I love. That's what I like to call an encore or a gig career, right? Another thing that you can consider, and again, this is not advice. These are just considerations.
Just options.
Just options. Another thing that most people don't realize, especially in communities of color, is the power of reverse mortgages. So the reason why we stay away from those in our community is that because for so long we were taken advantage of. Right. People use them to take our assets.
Right.
But if structured properly and done correctly, it can be an amazing supplement to retirement, and we still keep that asset in the household. Right. And the last thing I think that we can do to supplement that and to help if we're getting started late, think about how we can downsize or rent out part of our home. Right? If I can't downsize, how can I rent out part of the home? So you're an empty nester now, the kids are gone, or they will be gone. You got a 10-year window and you got started late, and we're going to save hard and grind hard for the next 10 years. Well, let's see how we can either downsize or rent out a portion of our current home, and also be intentional through that process of managing debt, right? So if I don't have a lot saved up, the one thing I want to make sure that I do is like, let me at least be debt free.
Right.
So if I'm debt free, if I can take that 10 to 15 year window or however much time I got and make sure I don't have a mortgage payment, well, that's $1,500-$1,600 a month that I don't have to be responsible for. Now I can live comfortably on less.
Right.
So I think it's a combination of things. So if you're at that 40 plus window and you've not started, let's be real intentional to think through a combination of things like, let's get started. Like I said, can't do it yesterday, do it today. If you can't do today, call me tomorrow, right? So let's get started ASAP, making some plans. B, let's be real intentional about debt preservation and not getting a whole bunch of unnecessary debt that's going to make life more stressful.
Right.
And then the third thing, C, let's just see what we have in our hand. What is it that what gift, what skill, what talent do I have that I can monetize?
Got you. That's awesome.
That's a wonderful tips.
It is. So the last question is probably easy for you. Where can the people find you? Because
so they can call you tomorrow.
Right, because I'm sure they're going to call with their specifics. You know what I mean? So where can they find you?
Yeah, so the first and the easiest place is to find me at www.werevealwealth.com. That's www.werevealwealth.com. We can also be found on Facebook at Reveal Wealth, LinkedIn, Instagram, Reveal Wealth. And personally, Burnett at werevealwealth.com is my email address. And I can be reached on my business cell, 864-360-6723.
And we will have that information in our episode notes. And now, are we allowed to brag on you a little bit about this Wealth Summit? Could we say a thing?
Please brag on me.
Okay, so right. Oh, I'm just making sure. I want no smoke.
Brag on. I got my black on today.
D&D fam, if you were not there this year, you missed a treat. We talked about it in the past episodes, highlighting that we would be virtual host. We're working on some things for next year. So JB is the brains behind the Black Wealth Summit. It took place in Greenville, South Carolina this year. That first weekend in October that passed recently. It was awesome.
Amazing.
Walked away with several tools. Attended a few of the breakout sessions, and just it was amazing. You all really check JB out. I, like I said, hit him up every now and then for a little consult just to make sure I'm where I need to be. So yeah, but
yay.
He knows what he's doing.
Awesome having y'all. Y'all made the weekend. It was so great.
Thank you.
It was so fun.
It was
a
a fun weekend. Fun and informative.
Yeah, fun and informative. Like how dope is that, right?
Exactly.
We learned.
And I learned something.
Weekend. So yeah, it was wonderful. It was a great weekend. We were so excited. We're already planning for next year. So September 30th, October the 1st, make sure you prepare. It's going to be even bigger. We already got some amazing speakers that are lined up to come.
Look at that.
It's going to be even better than this year was. It's so phenomenal. And be a part of that community. So we're going to have access. So all of our participants have access to our website already. So the website, www.theblackwealthsummit.net, theblackwealthsummit.net. But we're going to be opening it up to the public to become a part of our community page, meaning you'll have snippets of some videos. You'll be able to see some of the stuff that we saw, have some access to some of that stuff. And for a nominal fee, you'll be able to actually see the courses yourself, see those workshops, all the breakout sessions, all the speakers, all the guests, all the information. And every single month, we take a deep dive into a different financial topic. November, we're going to be with attorney LaVon Jones. And we're going to do a deep dive into intellectual property, trademarks, and all things related to protecting your brand. And you do not want to miss it. So yeah, we're so excited. Thank y'all so much for being here.
And we'll be back.
Yes.
So, do we have time for a letter? Do you want to? It's been a while since we gave the people something.
We can do one. We can do a quick letter.
So we'll see. It's actually a recap. Okay. So remember the diva who her wife took the money out for the art supplies?
Oh yes.
She took several thousand.
And I told her to put it back.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is a recap on that. So, dear divas, I wrote a while back about my wife moving funds for her art business. We've been in therapy, and it's been a lot. One thing that she said was that she didn't feel supported when I speak about permission and consulting about moving funds since it's our joint account. I admit I was wrong for breaking down the dollars and cents we each contributed in the heat of an argument. But I just don't feel a person should be in and out of accounts with shared money without the other knowing about it. We love each other, but money matters have definitely been a hard topic. What would you do? And am I being unsupportive for wanting to be consulted about the joint account? Love, Anonymous.
JB, would you like to step in here?
Oh, I would love to.
Go ahead. Let's hear your perspective.
No, so I agree with Anonymous that money matters are so important. And it's so, like, I sit through that exact conversation almost every week. Couples are talking about stuff for the first time sometimes in my office. And I'm like, feeling like I'm like about to be an MMA referee where I have to like break things up, right? So the first thing is the same boring stuff I've been saying all day, right? Really create and have a money plan. Right? If we already have a job description for every dollar that's coming into the household, there are going to be times where we're going to have to do an audible on the play where on the fly we're like, hey, can we do this? But if we already have a plan, then that's going to lessen the opportunities for us to have to move money around and do all this kind of stuff. The other thing is what I would suggest to Anonymous is really sit down with your wife and just see, hey, babe, how can I support you in your gift? How can I support you in your art? What can I do to support? And let's make sure that let's transition, because it sounds like it's a potential business or a potential skill, at least, that can make some money and be monetized. Let's invest time, right? That doesn't cost us anything. Let's sit down, let's invest time to actually get this business set up and structured properly and treat it like a business and create a business account that as a joint account,
JB.
we're going to contribute to your business account from our joint account. That's going to be me showing you that I support you, I love you, I'm down with you. But it's also going to be me holding you accountable to be effective and efficient, and stop treating your business like a hobby. So often we do that. We treat our businesses like hobbies, and hobbies cost us money. They don't make us money. So let's have a real sit down conversation. If you have to get a third party involved, get a third party involved, and set up that business account and voluntarily say, hey, babe, I'm going to contribute $200, $250, whatever your budget will allow. I'm going to contribute this to your business account every month as a show of solidarity and support for you. However, you can't touch this joint account in excess of that without having a conversation.
Right.
We just at least going to have a conversation. So now I'm investing into her business. I'm supporting her. I'm rooting her on, but I'm also setting her up for success and helping her to launch and inviting her to come into me and have conversation because she know I support her. She know I'm standing by her.
No, he crushed that, y'all. I have nothing.
I don't.
There's nothing for me to say.
Actually, because
there's no more perfect
first
answer.
of all, nothing I said would have been as
and I wouldn't have said that.
That was cooperative. It was supportive. Because I would still be like, what you mean?
What you mean we supporting you?
Because so it's partly your money.
Y'all better call JB.
Please do. Because I would be on the other end. What do you say, MMA? I'd be sitting there like,
he done turned this to a business account where you have to have accountability.
Yes, LLC. Now, I will offer a little free thing there in terms of her not touching money back and forth. If you set up this business account, this is a little free legal. Make sure you're not commingling your business and your personal monies, because what happens is if she starts saying like, oh, I need to go to Michael's, let me use the joint personal account, and then I don't know, she makes some sculpture that somebody child tripped over or something and wants to sue you, then they could say, oh, I can't tell the difference between this money over here and this money over here because it was commingled. Let me come after y'all as individuals because my child hurt themselves on her sculpture. So just saying, once things are separate, keep them separate. But that's why JB's married. There you go.
It was just,
that was very cooperative.
That answer gave me so much joy.
I love it. So, questions, comments, shenanigans, divaadvice@gmail.com. All right, Quick, you got any tips?
I do not. I'm just still enjoying awe of the answer.
It was nice.
It gave me the bubblies.
I could feel you over there like.
I was like, look at
I'm just saying.
Awesome.
I was like,
listen, I'm gonna have to put this on my to-do list like once a month. Like y'all just make a brother feel so great.
Listen, we got so many topics. You coming back? Don't worry about it. You'll be a regular.
You ain't said nothing but a word.
You stuck with us.
Next time I'm gonna be on there with my Divas and Duckets t-shirt.
Yes.
Hey.
Get your merch.
Speaking of, we do have Divas and Duckets products online. Go to www.divasanduckets.com. Go to the shop and you can now buy our merch.
Yes.
Fellas, you can buy one too. You can buy one for your man too.
That's right. We had my trainer, shout out to him, took his shirt off in the gym, his business shirt, his logo, and put on our logo and just model it around.
Modeled a unisex
looking good in the Divas and Duckets shirts. Okay, yes. So men, they are for you too.
Shout out to the Divos.
That's right. So until next time, in between time, we say have a great attitude.
All right, bye.
Bye.